Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to this channel. I'm Gift God's Time by name, and if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. And to all my existing subscribers, thank you for your support. It has really brought me this far. Thank you, I appreciate you all. So today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you the down part of this dress, which is the ball dress. The upper part, I already made a video which is already on my YouTube channel, so you can watch the upper parts of it. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make this fluffy ball dress with no hard net or underskirt, as you can see from the video. Kindly stay tuned. These are the materials I'm going to be using. I'll be using 3 yards of satin fabric because I'll be cutting 2 circle flip, and then I'll be using 15 yards of 2 nets. Yes, 15 yards. I know this looks small because I already cut part of it. I'll be using 15 yards of 2 nets. Now, when making ball dress, especially for kids less than 5 years, what you have to put in consideration is the comfortability of that dress for the child. Now, the color matters. When you are using a light fabric, you need more yardage to give it that fullness, because we're not putting underskirts or those hard knits because we want the child to be comfortable. So you need more yardage, especially when you're using a light fabric, as in the color of the fabric is very light. But when you're using a darker color, you can use 10 yards or 5 yards. It will work perfectly, but don't use below 5 yards when making ball dress. Now, for the first layer of this dress, you will notice it has 2 tier. So this is what I'm explaining. So the difference I'm using is just 2 inches. I want the upper part to be shorter than the longer part. So that is the upper part there, and I cut it 5 yards. While the down part that will pleat will be 15 yards times 3 of the upper part. And I've also gone ahead to weave it to give me that neat finishing, so by the time I gather it, it will look beautiful at the end. So I'm going to gather this 15 yards that I cut. I'm going to gather it till it gets to, I'll be able to pleat it on these 5 yards. Now the two of them that I cut, it gives me the length I need. So you must consider that when you are cutting yours, you will cut it in such a way that they will give you the length which you will need for the dress entirely. So after gathering this and having the gathered effect, I'm going to sew these 15 yards which will be gathered on the 5 yards fabric. I'm going to sew it on top of it, on top, not below, not underneath, on top of it. So this is it. I'm done sewing it. I gathered the 15 yards first. As you can see, this is the effect. So I sewed it on the 5 yards of 2 nets which I cut. So next I'm going to gather these 5 yards as well. So before I start my gather effect, I'm going to leave 1 inch for the zipper part, and I'm going to gather all the way through, and when I get to the other end, I will also leave 1 inch for the zipper part. So I'm going to gather manually, as you can see, with my threaded needle, but you can also use your sewing machine to gather it as well. So in doing it manually, you just put your needle and just gather it, as you can see. So this works for me perfectly, maybe because I'm used to it. So I'm done gathering that upper part, that is the 5 yards. As you can see, it's already forming, and this is just the first layer. This is just the first layer for the ball dress. We still have 2 more to gather. So this is it. Now for the other 2 parts we're going to gather, I've gone ahead to cut the length I need, and each of them are 15 yards in yardage, that is in width. I cut out 15 yards each, making them 30 yards together. So I already cut the length of it. Then next I'm going to cut out my circle flay using my satin fabric. You can also gather your satin instead of cutting it into flay, into full circle. But to me, the waistline will be so bulky. It will be so bulky and it looks not neat when you have when you gather your satin as well with all the tool you are going to gather, all the yardage. So I prefer cutting it in a full circle. It still gives that volume and that neatness, and by the time you weave that edge, it will be neatly weaved. But when it's gathered with satin, it's really bulky. So whatever works for you and whatever you prefer, but for a child, try to do things that will make them comfortable and not too heavy. So I'm going to split open my full circle, and I'll be cutting this full circle in two. I'll cut another one. This will be for the main bodies, and I'll cut another one for the lining. Don't worry, as we progress you'll see what I mean. So right now I've gone ahead to gather the two 15 yards each together. I gathered them together. I didn't gather them separately. So you can add more layers depending on what you want. But me, I feel this is okay for a 4-year-old. So all I'm after is for the child to be very comfortable and to be able to play around with their dress. So you can add more layer if you wish to, but these 3 layers for me plus the satin and the lining satin again, it's okay for me. I don't need more for the child. So altogether we have 3 layers of the tulle. This is the first one, the one with the 2 tier. This will be at the top. Then the two 15 yards each will be below this, and then our satin fabric will also be below those two together. So this is our bodice, which we have a video for it. So I'm going to teach you how to put your the ball dress, how to attach the ball dress to it. So firstly, I'm going to be attaching the one with the 2 tier. That will be the first one I'm going to be placing on the bodice. So when attaching it, the ball dress to the main bodice, the ball part. So now this bodice, it's looped, is not a zip from the beginning. So I'm going to leave my zipper part, which is 1 inch, and also ½ inch as well, because when we are creating the loop we cut off ½ inch. So that is how I'm going to leave that space before attaching it. So this part here, I'm done attaching it, and I will show you what I was explaining. So this is it. I left my extra 1½ inches for it at the both sides. I left it so that I'll be able to attach my zip, and that extra ½ inch I cut off from the main bodice. If you watch the first video, you will understand perfectly. So I left the lining. As you can see, I didn't attach any tool to the lining. So next I'm going to be attaching the other 15 layers, the two 15 layer, I mean the two 15 yards. I'm going to be attaching, yes, these ones. I'm going to be attaching it now on at the top of the bodice. So it will be below the first layer which I already attached. So I'll go ahead to sew it now. So I'm done sewing it. As you can see, it's already forming the ball dress. It has formed already. As you can see, it's already looking beautiful. So you see, all you require is more yardage, not hard knits or underskirts. You can do that for an adult. So next I'm going to be attaching the satin. I'm going to be attaching the satin to it. You need this satin because when you sew the zip and you don't put the satin, you'll be seeing the zip the way it is, and it will be somehow transparent because this is just a tulle net. It's not like a thick fabric or a it's just net. Next, once I'm done sewing the satin, I'm going to attach my zip. So I'll take 1 inch away from the two sides and sew it down and attach my zip, leaving that ½ inch extra. So I'm done attaching my zip. As you can see, our ball dress, it's looking beautiful. So this is it. This is the zip part. Everywhere is still looking rough now because we've not attached our lining parts to cover up those stuff. So now we'll be cutting, the other circle flea, we're going to be attaching it to the main body's lining. So we're going to be doing it neatly. So I'll go ahead to open up the zip. After opening it up, I'm going to attach my circle flare on the lining part, as you can see. So I'm going to flip it over, right side facing right side, and then attach it like this, sew it all the way through using the bodies. I'll sew all the way, and also at the end I'm going to cover up my zipper part and it will be neatly finished. So this is it. This is the outcome using a full circle flea for it. It gives that beauty. You can also use half circle flea, but the full circle flea to me gives it that beauty on the inside. As you can see, it's looking beautiful, and it also brings out the bullish design of it, the bullish effect. So this is it. Everywhere is neat, no place, no thread, nothing will poke the child's skin. So everywhere is neat, even the zipper part. Please, if you've watched this far, do not forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel if you are yet to, please. Thank you for watching. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.